everyone, my name is Shelby and this is the YouTube series where I reveal what's inside these mystery pottery molds I found on Gumtree. This is mold 11 and this one's not such a mystery because it is in the original box from 1975. I don't know what's going to be cuter, the fact that this box has such a gorgeous illustrative detail on it and it has such a vintage vibe, or the mold itself, what comes out of this mold. So this mold is done by Albertus and it's part of the set that I've already started in part 1. So I'm not sure how many of this set I have, but I've got the girl gnome with the sweet little plaits and overall detail, which was done in part 1, and this one is a gnome that sort of sits on a bench and it's got a satchel and pipe. So I clean that one all up and I put the rubber band back on and I get it ready for pouring. I pour it up, and then with this mold, because of the way it's sort of angled, the hole is off center, I need to make sure that when I pour it out, I put it on an angle so that all the excess clay drips down the mold and out, so it doesn't cause any cracking or excess moisture to stay in the crevices. I let that set and it is so detailed, so gorgeous. I love all the details on this mold. I love the little beard, how it looks so full and lush, the little pipe, the little satchel, everything's so little. It's really adorable. Initially I couldn't get it out, so what I had to do was I cut out the pouring spout like I've done before and just gave it a little scratch so that it was nice and weak, so that I could just sort of pop the mold out the other side. So I cut off that pouring spout and I tidy the mold up so that it's got a nice flat clean surface for my painting details to go on. For this reveal, I wanted to look into my brown tones because in pottery, some colours are really hard to achieve and to achieve them right, and brown is one of those colours. I don't often use brown in my usual work, and when I started doing the gnomes, a lot of people were asking me to do a diverse range of skin tones, but these are my test tiles of browns, and none of them come out that really warm tonal colour that people have been requesting me to include in my work. So they either come out a really greeny grey colour that makes the skin tone look really washed out, or some of them come out pink like this mid brown, which isn't really an accurate representation of a black person or a person of colour. So I've done a mix to test on these gnomes that includes a darker brown and some orange to warm it up and to sort of give it that really nice glowy colour, unlike that grey that usually comes out in my browns. So I want to test a number of colours so that I can include a lot of different people of colour in my work where it's appropriate to do so. I wanted to use this opportunity to explore and test skin tones in this YouTube because I've had a lot of mixed responses from people with similar skin tones to mine that are expressing their view that they believe my work is racist because of using skin tones that are other than my own, and then also people calling me racist for not using more diverse skin tones. So I opened it up to my Instagram stories to ask people of colour how they felt inclusivity and representation of their skin tone and what that looks like to them in my work. And the response was so wholesome and positive, and I wanted to share that in this YouTube, that majority of the voices stated that they felt really included when their skin tone was represented in these ways, and that was what my main aim was. I didn't want to cause offense by doing anything, and I didn't want to sort of represent a pickaninny or any type of stereotype in my work. And I wanted to make sure that it was only inclusive and not offensive. The only disagreement of my work in the stories was actually people feeling that the colour didn't quite fit right, and that was when I used those grey tones that I showed you earlier. So with these ones, I'm hoping that the warmth in that brown from the orange will really make that colour feel more closer to a representation that people feel they want to see in my work. But I also want to address that not all of the molds I will be able to do a mix of skin tones. And that is because these molds are from the 70s. Unfortunately, a lot of these molds were designed by white people and they have white features, and I don't want to put blackface on any of my work and cause any offense in that way. So it's just being very mindful and cautious and trying to make work that is really joyful, happy, and continues to include people and make every person feel joy, and not just a minority group or a white-centric, Eurocentric population of people. I want everyone to feel included where it's possible for me to include that. But if you have different views on my work, if you're a person of colour and you're watching this and going, I disagree with you, I would love to have an open conversation in the comments if you like. Just let me know how you feel. But essentially from that story post, a lot of people were just so happy to feel that sense of inclusivity in the work that often isn't seen. I don't know, I couldn't even tell you where I've seen a person of colour gnome before. Some people shared that they were selling them across the world, but I've never seen one at my local Bunnings or anything like that. So it was really important that it was I keep saying inclusive, but it just really summarized what I want these pieces to be, and I don't want anyone to feel that I am not including people and only seeing the artworks as white people, pretty much. So yeah, rest assured, I am really excited to see how these colors come out, how they look, and how to adjust them and trial them more with my future work. So with these, I've done 3 tones. So I've done like a peachy tone, which is like my skin tone, so a very pale pinky orangey color, and then I've got a mid-tone, which is really lovely. It's a really nice sort of warm color when it comes out, and then I'm trialing the darker brown with the orange to warm it up. So each one has got its own little responsibilities. So I've done one as Daisy, the looker afterer of daisies. So on the satchel I wrote Daisy spells, and then I've got one that's looking after rivers and river water beds and all of that business. So he's the river spells gnome. And then I've also got the forest spells. So I'm really happy with how they look together. Oh my gosh, my dog just interrupted me. But I'm really happy with how they look together as a set. They are really lovely, and I feel like they are such beautiful protectors of our little environment system and ecosystems. I think my favorite thing about these gnomes is actually getting those really small fine details on and seeing them all finish together. When I'm doing them, they can become really tedious because they are about 10 centimeters tall. So putting the details in, putting the shading, the tones, everything on these pieces takes such a long time. They're no quick feat to get them finished, but they are so worth it when they are. So I bisque fire those and I get my glaze ready, and the way I've glazed these is I put the glaze in a smaller jug, I dip their heads in, and then I dip their feet in, and then I sponge their tushies off so that they can sit on the kiln shelf. And this is what they look like. How cute are these? I love them sitting all together, like the way the colors pop on the individual pieces, but they look like a together group. I really love the soft pinks, the pop of red on the belt, the little daisies on the hat. I think all the details came out really lovely on this one, and even the grey beard. This one came out lovely as well. I love the little river spells text. I love the color of the beard, and the way that hat looks like moving water is really satisfying, and I'm really happy with how that looks. And this is the tone I was testing out I do really like it. I think with the beard, it's a little bit on the green side, but I think it kind of fits really well with the fact that this was the forest fells gnome anyway. But I think I'll still do a few more tests to get it really right. The only issue I had was one of the booties got stuck to the kiln shelf because I didn't move it far enough away from the kiln, but that's okay. Sometimes mistakes happen, but yeah, I'm really obsessed with all the little fine work details in these, and I can't wait to get stuck into part 12. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more parts.